Drop what you're doing. Make this a priority.
And now, it's time for Guys Not on the Radio with Shap.
He's a party on skates.
And JC.
The little girly man.
Shap.
If you stuck a lump of coal up his ass, in 2 weeks you have a diamond.
And JC.
They think he's a righteous dude.
Is this it? I mean, is this 2 bowls of M&Ms and some balloons? You know what, Phyllis? I think you need to step it up. Because if I'm not mistaken, we gave you your wedding shower here. We all came into this room and gave you a golden shower.
That's disgusting. You are fake news.
You're killing me, Smalls.
It's Shap and JC. And the Guys Not on the Radio podcast.
Well, that's it. I'm going to see a man about a wallaby.
Get you guys all. Are you unmuted? Can I hear you?
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey, you know, I think the answer to solving the coronavirus problem is right here on the guitar player for that song right there. I think we can all just get some of his blood injected into everybody, because there's no way Keith Richards is going on this thing. There's no way.
What is that? What does Bill Hicks always say? There's going to be 2 things left: heat and bugs. That's it.
About right.
The apocalypse hits.
It's about right.
It is the Gimme Shelter in Place edition of the Guys Not on the Radio podcast. I'm JC. Along with me, which way? That way is Shap.
No, you had it right the other way.
I did. I know. Well, on my screen, you're there.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And we also have Professor Moptop with us down there, and we'll get the big introduction with Professor Moptop coming up. But right off the bat, man, how's everybody doing? How are you doing, Shap?
I'm okay. I'm surviving. So I just had food for the first time today because my stomach's been in knots for the last week. So hopefully you don't see me dive out of here during the middle of the video.
How are you surviving, Greg?
I am good. Am I the only one who keeps hearing Kenny Rogers in my ears?
Do you still have Kenny Rogers in your ears?
I still have Kenny Rogers in my ears.
Nice.
Oh,
lucky you.
I wonder if the I wonder, do you have the video up somewhere too? The live
I do.
stream? Okay, that's probably the problem. So you might want to mute your live stream and then you'll be good. And then it'll go
There
away.
we go.
Yeah, Kenny goes away. Just like that.
Just like last night.
Oh, man. Already. Things are flying.
Oh, man. So, I don't know. This whole thing, like, I mean, when I talked to you, Shap, about doing this, and I talked to, Professor Moptop about this as well, I thought tonight, since we're all kind of sheltered in place now, that we'd take the night and just talk about, I guess, the effects of things and how it's changing our lives a little bit, but I don't really want to get into the newsy stuff. Every day, your Facebook feeds, everything's just filled with all this news about this garbage, and frankly, I'm kind of just tired of it.
Three things, first of all. Number one, Sheltered in Place is probably going to be the next Bob Dylan album title, I'm thinking. He's got a couple of shelter songs, doesn't he? At least one I can think of.
Yeah.
Number two, if we are going to have a sponsor for this podcast, there we go. I don't know if that'll work or not, but probably not. And I forgot what number 3 was, so go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, it's just changing a lot of things. I know we're going to talk a little bit about surviving this, things that you're doing. Like, what are you doing? How are you keeping yourself occupied? How are you keeping the kids occupied? And on top of that, because, I mean, we've got, a couple weeks now that we're going to have to get used to this.
Hopefully not longer than that.
Yeah. I think what I'm thinking is, what are you doing with the kids? Also, if you have roommates, have you learned anything new from your roommates or your housemate? We'll talk more about that. We'll go through Tales. We'll bring back Tales from Radioland. We've got Professor Moptop with us. And, it's why I met Greg. I'm going to call you Greg too while we're doing this. When we
Okay.
worked together in Peru at the radio group, and we'll talk more about that. And then also we're going to get some Beatles University tonight from Professor Moptop, which we're really excited about. And we've got
Correct. I have two choices.
Yes.
We could talk about some of the fake names that George Harrison had along the way, which is a lot, an astronomical lot.
Yeah.
Or we could
Like
talk
names.
about my stimulus plan that I want to do to get the economy moving. How I would do it. It's up to you guys. You guys decide. Let me know which way you want to go.
Or can we talk? Can we talk about what the show you do in Chicago, or is that like not okay?
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's very good.
I was gonna say I figured that'd be good for you, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know like if there was some embargoed thing. The Professor Moptop is embargoed only to use that when he's actually on WXRT up in Chicago.
Embargoed is a good
Yes.
word.
It is a good
Power
word.
word.
So yeah, eat Professor Moptop with Breakfast with the Beatles when he's on with Terry. So
Yeah.
awesome stuff.
Yes.
And then we're going to have Kevin Kramer join us. He's going to jump in here in a little bit on the video, but he also, with the professor's visit tonight, has put together a special Beatles cover. So we're pretty excited to hear that.
That'll be fun.
So let's just get things started, man. I know, Shap, you said your stomach's in knots. I know the anxiety is crazy. Jake's down here with me. And when we've been doing the podcast, he loves to sit and visit with us. And he coughed twice last night. And I've been checking his temperature for the past 15 hours. So it's
I
crazy.
feel a little warm myself right now.
I know. And it's just
Do you
the
have a
lights down
shed
here.
or maybe a crawl space you can make them go to? Only a couple weeks. It's not that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. Just a couple weeks in the shed.
Speaking of
Instead.
sheds,
Yeah.
you're asking what we've been doing. To just give a change of scenery, we went out and kind of made space in our shed and kind of cleaned things up just so that we can like get outside. So it's like, okay, let's go out to the shed and play in the shed now, which, actually like in another few years, my shed's probably gonna be awesome for my kid because he's going to be 7 here in like a week. And it's got a loft. It's got 2 lofts on each side of it. So it's one of those sheds you can like go up and like sit and play. And there's literally like you could have a sleepover in that shed, no problem, with like 8 kids.
Well, and what are you doing right now? I mean, you've got Felix, his birthday's coming up too, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's gonna be what,
Yeah.
6, 7?
He's 6.
6.
He's 6. He's gonna be 7 here in just over a week.
And so you've been the last week has been stay at home and Mr. Shap.
Yeah, I mean,
Felix.
I did start doing my radio show from the house Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'm able to kind of remote log in and take advantage of some of the technologies we're using here today, and doing that. But it's been a challenge. I mean, my wife has definitely been more of the stay-at-home teacher mode. She's been doing a lot more of the teacher stuff than I have. Bless her soul. So. But so far, we've had a few meltdowns, but not too bad. So, but we really started going into panic mode yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you are listening right now, Mrs. Shap downstairs, just let me know or yell upstairs so I hear you, so I don't tell anything that he might hear, because his birthday, like we said, is a week from today. So we were like, and by the way, this is going to be a total NSFW podcast because we're gonna cuss a lot on the show because that's what we do.
Filth.
Thank you. Goddamn right. Anyways, so we started going into panic mode, and the Shap really hit the fan when I freaked out. So like, we got to go out and get his birthday present before they close everything.
Yeah.
So, and we've been talking about getting a Switch for him for his birthday, and we're like, well, that's expensive. So we were gonna have like people give us gift cards for Target, and then take him to go buy it like the day of his birthday with gift cards he got, and then we were gonna help buy the rest and games and stuff. And then we're like, well, this fucking party ain't gonna happen now because we can't gather. So what do we do? This poor kid he shouldn't have to suffer from that. So
Can you find something the kid did wrong and blame him for it?
Oh, there's plenty of that every day. So every day.
There you have it. There's a problem and there's a solution. The solution's right in front of your face. Sorry, kid, you're bad. No party this year. Go to the shed.
Well, I mean, next to toilet paper and bread, I'm thinking a Nintendo Switch is probably the third thing that people are buying because they're not anywhere right now. They're gone. And the only places you can find them online are people who are reselling and are jacking the prices up by at least $100 a Switch. So fortunately, I posted a message on social media. The only good thing to come out of social media in the last week, I posted it asking if anybody had access to one, and somebody actually said that they knew somebody who just bought one and lost their job because of COVID-19. So because of that, they're going to sell it. So I've got one that I'm supposed to be able to pick up hopefully this week.
Score.
So yeah. But then yesterday when we found out that there was going to be another announcement about everything's closing, we're like, shit. So we ran up to GameStop to buy some stuff to go with it. So we would have something to do with it. So
I thought GameStop said that they were essential business, though.
they are apparently, yes. They are apparently essential business. 6 people only at a time. 6 people only in the store.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting how they managed to become essential. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, as soon as like the social media started going and the newspaper started saying that, hey, we were going to have a lockdown in Illinois, man, panic ensued. If you guys were at the stores yesterday, right before the governor's announcement, it was crazy. So
yeah, I actually was one of the idiots that went to the store yesterday during that whole thing. So it was bad. I'm watching. There's now comments on our Facebook page about the you shouldn't have 8 kids together in the shelter at home. Other times that shed sounds amazing. Yes, no, we did not have 8 kids in the shed. It was just my son. We let the neighbor kid come over for a little bit today, and that was about it. So, but no.
You're being more generous than I am because I'm like, nope, nobody.
We didn't let them in the house. Okay. It was outside in the yard. You guys can play. Okay. That's about it.
I needed a break.
Well, we were out there with them, so yeah.
So
back to the stores. You're talking,
you were
right?
At the stores, you went shopping. Did you do the self checkout?
No, I didn't do the self checkout. It was like Thanksgiving. It was like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving at the stores, times 10 probably. It was crazy there yesterday. And all I could think of, well, 2 things I could think of is, one, a huge shout out and a round of applause for the people who are working at these stores and them dealing with this crisis right now and still being there on the front lines and having all of these people come through. I cannot imagine having that job. I'm sure there's other people saying they're lucky. They're the lucky ones. They get to go to work. I wouldn't want to be out working in there in this shit. Would you? So I'll pass. So that was one. And number 2 was, hey, that person back in groceries was licking their fingers to open the plastic bags.
Yeah. That's the only way to get them undone, though. That is the only way.
That's the best way to get them undone.
Is there a better way than that?
No, that's why it's the best.
Because
but there's other ways of doing it.
I know that I almost prefer going through and having somebody check out my groceries for the fact that I can never separate the bags in the self-checkout lane. Because I sat there for 10 minutes once, and the lady finally came over and showed me you have to lick your fingers to separate the bags, and I'm like, oh.
10 minutes sounds like a long time.
It was. It was. I don't feel like I'm exaggerating either.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, instead of doing that, maybe get like a sponge or something like that, like a sponge that's wet that you can just kind of dab your finger with and then use that to separate. How about that?
So you're saying we should all carry damp sponges with us at all times?
When you go to the grocery store, yes. Why did you shit your pants? Why are your pockets wet?
Oh, hey, speaking of that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, did you see this?
Wait, what?
Go ahead.
Go on.
All right.
Continue, please.
This came across on Barstool the other day, and I about lost it. I thought it was recent, like it happened at a recent city council meeting where they were talking about COVID-19, and then the mayor gets up to like excuse himself and leaves his mic on. Did you guys see that video?
No.
Yes. No. Very funny.
Are you sure you just weren't watching The Naked Gun?
No, hold on.
It's exactly like that, though.
Hold on here. Let me share this with you. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Here, I'll try and keep this brief. I won't belabor all the details. I'm sure most of you remember Mr. Guest's presentation from last time, and I imagine he's going to hit some of the highlights here in a minute. But I do want to just say that if your life has not already been touched by an antibiotic-resistant disease, it probably will be at some point. My mother has fought a MRSA infection. I have a high school friend whose 3-year-old son almost died from C. diff, and he will be dealing with the consequences of that for the rest of his life. But the thing is that these deadly infections, there's something we can do about it. And what we can do is call on governmental representatives that are higher up the chain of command.
Poor Rachel.
And ask for action at the federal level. I am aware of Mr. Brainerd's concerns that he raised last time, and there would be instances where I actually agree that we should take action locally first, but there are not any
How could she possibly continue on?
would be an empty gesture.
I like when he comes back
So, and also these diseases
here. He walks back in, just sits down. What?
don't know any boundaries.
What I miss?
So
Notice we didn't hear him washing his
would
hands.
just-
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, Kevin joining us, by the way. So, all right.
There's a lot that we could learn from that little video. A lot. A whole lot.
You know, since we're on the topic of washing hands, here,
Yes.
I can't wait till this is all over so I can just stop washing my hands altogether. I blew my New Year's resolution. This is horrible. I'm sick of it. It's boring. I don't have time for that.
JC could probably attest to this because, you know, working in the wedding industry for so darn long, and you have to use public bathrooms to get changed in, to change into a tuxedo, the number of grown-ass men you see that use the bathroom and do not wash their hands. Maybe I just notice it. Maybe I pay attention to too much. I don't know, but it is.
Maybe you should just wear a tuxedo everywhere.
Maybe I should set up the gear in my tuxedo. If it rips and tears, so be it. I mean, new fashion trend right there. I mean,
Dirt happens.
Jeans with holes in them, I mean, are a thing. Why not tuxedo pants with holes in them?
I had a sign. Was it Seinfeld? Is that the show where he goes out on the date and the girlfriend or the girl that he's dating, her dad like owns the restaurant, and he's making up something special for him, and he goes to the bathroom and he's washing his hands, and the dad comes out
And doesn't wash his hands.
and he's like, I'm making something special for you, and he walks right out of the bathroom and doesn't wash his hands.
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
I had that happen at a restaurant once.
And what did Seinfeld say to you?
Well, the person I was with, I just said, look left, look right. Okay, that's the last time you're going to see this place because we're not coming back here again. So that was gross.
Nice.
So, what I'm curious, what kind of things are you doing to keep yourself occupied during the lockdown, I guess, or shelter in place? Let us know on Facebook Live here. Some of the things that you're doing with the kids, like I'm watching on social media, just some of the amazing things that people are doing. I try to just do something simple with Ben the other day. We just trying to do some life skills. So we cooked, which was a big deal. And he's 12 years old. But we made eggs and biscuits and gravy the other morning.
Okay.
But I'm impressed with all the things that you are doing with your kids and how overnight people have become like Mary Poppins. Because have you noticed this online? Just all these amazing like projects. Kids are reading books, and Heidi and I are kind of like, "You guys need help with anything?" And they're like, "No, it's all done." Well, you don't have anything to do? No, we finished it. They're up at like 9 and they're done at 10:30. Meanwhile, I'm watching on social media with all these Mary Poppins, and their kids are like handwriting the Constitution, having their kids fill out their census. It's part of their homeschooling. I don't know if I'm missing something.
So wait, so your kids do their work. They start at 9 o'clock,
and they're done.
On their schoolwork,
Jake's
they're done at
behind me.
10:30.
Yes.
Do you have to submit it for them or anything?
What's that?
Do you have to submit it for them?
They're doing it all. I
Yeah.
guess they're doing it all and they know what's up, but
Yeah.
I'm blown away by how awesome people are online because I'm just like, what am I missing?
Yeah. Well, I actually took a video of what my kid did today. If you don't
All
mind,
right.
you want to see
Yeah,
it.
sure.
But, I'm
Throw it
gonna
up
see
there.
if I could share my screen and let you guys kind of watch this little clip here. So this is what my kid did today to pass the time. I had nothing to do with this. He said I made a board game in the house. So can you see that now? All right. Let me hold that. Wait a second. There we go. There we go. Can you see it now? We did. We tried this. All right. Here we go.
Felix's own homemade board game. We've got a Felabuncher.
And a monkey.
And then we've got characters from Predator.
And they're trying to find a weapon.
Hey, do you know what that guy says that you're touching right now?
Where?
You know what he says?
Yes, sir.
That's the guy that says, "Get to the chopper!" That's it. Can you do it?
Get to the chopper!
That's right. All right. So what do we got here? We got...
There's weapons.
Okay. So walk me through the whole game here.
So we start in the weapon room and it leads. And when you get out of the weapon room, you're in the game room.
Okay.
And then you go here where there's a huge fire. And I also...
Here, turn that light on over there. Felix, do you want a picture?
No. So as you see, there's fire.
So what do you do with all these games? How do you play this game?
You like put them on and stuff.
Okay.
So as you see, there's
a fire.
There's helmets. There's
Okay.
fire right here.
Oh, not the fire.
When you come right here,
Okay.
there's Thanos.
Oh, okay. Then we go
All
to
the bad guys.
we go to this one. Okay. But Mr. Freeze somehow managed to jump ship from DC, huh?
I put all bad guys there.
Oh, okay.
And in here, and here's Mario World. Here's
Man.
the Mario World.
No, unless I'm coughing from eating crap.
Here's
Mario World, okay. And then we got
Gotham City.
gloves. Is this OJ Land right here?
No, this is
Okay.
Gotham City.
Oh, Gotham City. Okay.
And over here is the zoo. This animal place.
Okay, so here we go there, and then we go over to this area here.
Animals.
Okay.
And then you.
Oh, then we have to make a U-turn and go back through Mario Land.
And
Okay.
then you go in the game room. And here's Sports Land, and then here is
Sports Land.
Dragon World. And then you go
Where's
back.
Dragon World?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
There's
And there's garbage on the floor. Nice. Good job.
There's
Oh,
lasso
how many little bites did you have today? Two? 2 bags? 2 bags?
I forgot Lasso Land.
Oh, Lasso Land.
And then
Okay.
you come back around, and then you're at the Star Wars land over there.
Oh, okay.
And then
In the bathroom.
We got toilet paper. See? Good. We're in the bathroom now. Bathroom apparently is Star Wars Land. Okay.
in
Oh,
here,
now we gotta go through here?
there's Helicopter Land, and right here is the finish.
Okay, and then here, this is the finish line?
Yeah. This is Mitzi's town.
Mitzi's town?
Yeah.
Oh,
And she
okay.
has a helicopter protecting her.
Mitzi's town. Mitzi's like, get the hell out of my town, I'm sleeping. And how long is it gonna take us to play this game?
I think like a couple minutes.
A couple? Okay, I hope so.
Because this game is kind of short.
I hope so, or I'm in deep trouble.
Oh boy, oh boy. Thoughts? Kevin's eating dinner, watching it, enjoying it.
There you
Hello?
go. Are we all
I'd
back?
play that game.
You'd play that? You'd play that game?
I would, yeah. I'd gamble on it. I think I'd be a lot of fun.
It's funny you bring up the gambling thing because he actually said then the winner of the game gets $20 from the loser. He actually added that part in at the end, which of course then he rigged so he won. So he's insisting on getting $20 from me. And I said, where did you hear about this $20? He's like, well, that's what you do. So he must have been watching some YouTube challenge thing where, the loser had to pay up money or something like that.
So are you? So what are you guys learning about the people that you're stuck with right now? Anything new? I'm asking.
No, it's kind of an extension of knowing when to just shut up before you start an argument.
And I'm asking online too if anybody else wants to chime in on that.
Yeah.
See, the term during these stressful situations is pitching a no-hitter, which if you can get through the whole thing without having a rah, 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 blow up, shut up, no, you shut up, you've pitched a no-hitter. Now, you could still pitch a very good game and not have it be a no-hitter, but your goal is to make it a no-hitter.
I just was thinking myself in general, after watching the video and putting that out live on the internet, that my wife is probably going to kill me considering we walked through the bathroom and our bedroom. So there's a stacks of dirty laundry. This is what our bathroom looks like. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
When he started leading me through all those different areas, I didn't know it was going to go the entire top floor of the house. I had no clue. So he's somebody said he's an imaginative. Yes, he is an imaginative kid. And I don't know if JC you saw, but your microphone apparently is a little low.
Yeah, I hope I fixed it. Hope it's better.
Okay, good.
So, let me put that back up. Yeah, I get a weird double echo thing when I have my mic up all the way, so I'm trying to balance back and forth. But anyway, that's shop talk. Greg, you put something out online today that I loved, which was which TV show cast would you least like to be quarantined with?
I can't believe how many people hate the cast of Friends.
That's probably what I would pick.
Is that who you would pick?
I started thinking specifically about the guys from the television show Workaholics. As much as I enjoy watching them in 22-minute intervals on the television, if I had to know them in real life, I would probably be much more violent than I am.
I would probably... I didn't see the responses. I just saw your question. But I would either pick Seinfeld or Sunny as people not to be quarantined with.
Always Sunny. I was surprised to not see anyone from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, them too.
I haven't watched that show yet.
They're funny to watch, but I can't imagine having to live with them. Like either of those.
Here's my question: are we talking the actual characters or the people playing the characters?
No, the characters, right?
Oh shit! See, because I would have said Friends for sure, just because I figure that if we were talking about the actors in real life, that two of the guys are just downright a-holes in real life, aren't they?
Probably more than that.
I mean, LeBlanc, plays a total douchebag on that one show. Actually, he plays himself, but that I think he would probably be the most down to earth of the three guys. I think the Matthew Perry and Schwimmer would be just dickwads. So,
see, the sub question seems to be is which friend you would kill in which order. Chandler would make it past day one. In my book.
Not at all.
Easily over the balcony.
You don't seem like a guy that would watch Friends that much, Greg, but you seem to have quite a bit of Friend knowledge there.
You know what? Sometimes you just learn stuff without trying. You just kind of absorb pop culture.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we unmute Kevin, see if he wants to jump in on this? Yeah, let's unmute you, Kevin. Can we hear you?
Oh, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, nice. Off the leash here.
Yeah. So TV shows. Which TV show cast would you least like to be quarantined with?
That's a good question. What's that Moonshiners show? all you get is like moonshine. It's like we don't have TP, we don't have food, we got moonshine though.
How about Dance Moms? Can I do that one? Can I say that? Pretty basically any reality television show cast. The Real Housewives series. If it's on TLC or Bravo, it's probably shit.
Chip says he would hit on Phoebe relentlessly for Friends if they were quarantined together.
You guys can talk about smelly cats all the time. Hey?
Yeah.
Maybe Full House. Maybe the cast of Full House, like the actual characters from Full House. I mean, Uncle Jesse I probably would punch him in the face repeatedly, I think.
can't imagine it would take too long either.
No, or even Uncle Joe or Cousin Joey or whatever the hell his name is. The guy who was the responsible for You Ought to Know from Alanis Morissette. Dave Coulier. Was Joey, right? Wasn't he Joey?
He was Joey on Full House. You're right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
See, that I
Kimmy
had no idea
Gibbler.
about.
Kimmy Gibbler, that'd be bad too. You didn't know that about You Ought to Know? Yeah, Dave Coulier. Yeah, that was apparently the inspiration for You Ought to Know.
All right. We like to do something on the show called Tales from Radioland, and this is where we're going to officially welcome in the professor.
And now, Tales from Radioland.
Were you playing drums there?
I was.
Oh, okay, cool. Greg Alexander, a.k.a. Professor Moptop, and for the brief time I got to work with him, Captain Greg. So we're going back there, right? All right. He's from South Suburbs, shares an alma mater with Shap, actually. Both went to the same high school.
It's crazy.
I met Greg while working at 100.9 FM Rocks, and with his rock and roll resume, I'll tell you what, Greg, I was actually very intimidated by you.
That was my goal.
You arrived. But what's awesome is we struck up an immediate friendship over our love for the F word. I'm not even going to use
the F word. It's such a good word.
Filth, flarn, filth.
And also rock and roll. And for over a decade, Greg's alter ego.
Two decades.
Has it been two?
Yeah, 2 full decades.
Wow.
Oh, look at this.
All right. He's got the hat. For over 2 decades, Greg's alter ego, Professor Moptop, gave Beatles fans a deep dive into their history with Beatles University on the Chicago's legendary WXRT's Breakfast with the Beatles, hosted by Terry Hemmert. He has written 2 volumes of Beatle University, and we are lucky to have the professor here with us tonight. We're pretty excited.
I agree completely.
How many volumes do you think you're going to end up with by the time things are all said and done?
Ideally 6, but that's all in my brain, and getting it from here to on paper, that's a big step. So,
yeah, no kidding.
So to answer your question,
because the first wasn't it like the first intro of them starting off the first book, and then the second book is like Beatlemania, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So right now, the first 2 volumes cover from the day that John and Paul met, and then to volume 2 is Beatlemania and ends in 1964. So now volume 3 is beginning with the Help soundtrack.
So this is the book I would like, because this is when they start getting introduced to weed.
When they get into the drug years, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Bob Dylan, right?
Bob Dylan and drugs. You can't say enough good things about Bob Dylan and drugs.
Nice. Should we pop in, since we're talking about that? Should we pop in a Beatle fact?
Oh yes. Beatle fact. What Beatle fact number do we have?
I believe it's 134.
Beatle fact number 134.
Okay.
And Beatle fact number 134 is...
I just popped it up on the screen. I know you guys can't see it. But do you want me to read it?
Please.
All right. During the filming of the Help movie, the Beatles were high a lot of the time.
Most of the time, yes. Just practically strictly high from morning to night a lot.
My finger,
Very
my finger.
Yes. That's fun fact number 134.
134. Is that in the book?
No, it's not.
It's just
it will be in volume 2, though.
Okay.
And you have to be careful when talking about the Beatles and drugs, trying to not make it sound like a commercial. They did these drugs, and they did okay. And then they did these drugs, and they got even better. And then they switched to yet another drug. And it's hard to have.
We
the Beatles approved this message.
We talked earlier, and you were either going to do something on George Harrison for us, or you're going to do your stimulus.
I'm going to talk about the economic stimulus and how the effects of the Corona-19 virus will affect the system and the stock market for the next 18 to 46 months.
Well, I think yeah.
I could talk about some of the fake names that George Harrison had over the years.
I think we have our answer.
Fake names, George Harrison it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused.
You were all excited about the other one, I
I was
know.
excited talking about that. All right, heading all the way back to the really, really early days of the Beatles. When the Beatles played in Hamburg, they all took on fake names. And George was Carl Harrison, named after Carl Perkins, who was a guitar hero of his.
Makes sense.
Now, interesting, at this point in time, Paul McCartney had a fake name as well, and it was Paul Ramone. Many years later, a guy named Didi Ramone read this and said, hey, we should call our New York-based punk band the Ramones. So that's how the Ramones got their name.
I think I've heard that one before. Maybe from you. I don't know. But
That's a common one. That's your bonus fact.
That's bonus factoid?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, later on in the decade, 1969, when Apple Records was a thing, they had a little subsidiary, and it was all experimental noise, and it was Zapple Records. And there's only 2, maybe 3 of these experimental records that were ever released, and one of them was Electronic Sounds by George Harrison, which is a lot of disjointed noise and crazy Moog or Moog synthesizer noise. And on the album, there's a quote saying, there are a lot of people around making a lot of noise. Here's some more. Arthur Wax. Now, Arthur Wax is George Harrison. For no other reason, just for the fact that it was kind of cute to come up with a fake name and be Arthur Wax. That's where Arthur Wax appears from. Now, L'Angelo Misterioso. He plays on a Cream song that George Harrison co-wrote called Badge.
Nice.
Now, George Harrison gets co-writing credit, but he wasn't legally, contractually able to perform on the song. So L'Angelo Misterioso, which of course means the mysterious angel, is the guy who gets credit for playing on that. Now, Jack Bruce from the band Cream has a song called Never Tell Your Mother She's Out of Tune on a 1969 album. And again, George plays on that, but legally could not take credit for it. So L'Angelo Misterioso plays on that one.
Was that because of something to do with the different labels and stuff? Like they just
It had a lot to do with the different labels.
Yeah.
As a songwriter, he was able to write for other labels or other releases or other companies. But when it came to playing an instrument, he strictly was only allowed to play on EMI Parlophone records.
Gotcha.
Now, when it was time to go solo, George introduced the George O'Hara Smith Singers, JC. You could play video number 1. Now, those background singers there are the George O'Hara Smith Singers, who are all Georges. It's a bunch of Georges. Had the Beatles not broken up and George still wrote that song, that would be John and Paul singing in the background Harry Christians. Now, Son of Harry plays on a Dave Mason album called If You've Got Love. Harry Georgeson plays on a Rabbi Shankar Family and Friends album. Now, Harry Georgeson, as well as Jai Raj Harrison, play on a Splinters album from 1974 called The Place I Love. Now, Harry Georgeson, he plays the bass and the mandolin and the dobro, some synthesizers, a harmonium, and a Jew's harp. But Jai Raj Harrison plays percussion and guitar. And then get this, the album was produced by P. Roducer, who is also George Harrison. So the guys in Splinter got to deal with 3 separate George Harrisons on one album. That's quite the feat.
Wow.
Any questions so far?
And that was that All Things Must Pass? So that was from?
All Things Must Pass was where My Sweet Lord was from.
Yeah.
That's where the George O'Hara Smith singers come from.
Okay.
Introducing the George O'Hara Smith singers. Now, George Harry Song sings on a Harry Nilsson track called You're Breaking My Heart.
Nice.
And he's also on John Lennon Sometime in New York City. Now, Asher Ogre Groin, who is a, what's it called when you rearrange the letters? They rearranged the letters.
Palindrome, yeah. Or no.
You
Who
know
said
what
that
it is.
first before me? Was that Kevin?
I said that. I was just guessing though.
Was it an anagram?
I think it's an anagram, but I don't think that's in there either. We'll get back to this later. Asher Ogre Groin was on a John Oswald project called Plunder Phonics, an anagram. Thank you, Patrick K. of Memphis. Asher Ogre Groin did Plunder Phonics. He has a track called Way. John Oswald is the guy who would take previously recorded music and electro quote them. He did a 2-hour feedback Grateful Dead project. He did a Michael Jackson mashup. He was way in the early ages of the kind of crazy digital stuff. John Oswald, his track is Way, and that's where Asher Ogre Groin comes from. Now, not all of George's fake names were all that interesting either, because on Billy Preston's I Wrote a Simple Song, album and song, George H. gets credit. Not super clever. By this point, you expect a little bit more from George. All right, now in 1971, George O'Hara Smith plays on Ashton Gardner and Dyke's album, The Worst of Ashton Gardner and Dyke. That's the name of it. That's hysterical. George plays the guitar on a song called I'm Your Spiritual Bread Man. JC, if we can see that little video. I'm Your Spiritual Bread Man. There's a song title for you. In 1971, George O'Hara Smith plays and he co-produces Gary Wright's Footprint album. Gary Wright was the guy he had a hit with Dreamweaver. He was also in a band called Spooky Tooth. In 1973, there's a Nicky Hopkins album called The Tin Man is a Dreamer, and George O'Hara Smith plays on that. Now, in 1975, this is a really fun one. George O. Not Him Again Harrison produces a studio version of the Lumberjack song from Monty Python. JC, if we can get the video.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. He's a lumberjack and he's okay. Sleeps all night and works all day. I cut down trees, I eat my lunch, I go to the lavatory. On Wednesdays I go shopping and have buttered scones for tea. He cuts down trees, eats his lunch, he goes to the lavatory. On Wednesdays he goes shopping and buttered scones for tea. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. I cut down trees, I skip and jump. I like to press wildflowers. I put down women's clothing and hang around in bars. He cuts down trees, skips and jumps. He likes to press wildflowers. He puts down women's clothing and hangs around in bars.
So that's George O. Not Him Again producing that. Now, George had he'd become really good friends with a lot of the people in the Ruddles, specifically Eric Idle. And in the Ruddles, he became friends with the guys from Monty Python. And with Eric Idle, they produced the Ruddles movie, which is like a parody tribute. And George appears in it as an interviewer who, oddly enough, has no name. Now, he interviews a guy named Eric Manchester, who is played by Michael Palin from Monty Python. And this character, this Eric Manchester, is loosely based on Derek Taylor, who was the Beatles' press agent and a mutual friend of both of them. And we see them in the movie. Can we see that clip, please, JC?
There have been continued allegations that Ruttle Corps is going bankrupt. Eric Manchester, the Ruttle's press agent, are these allegations true?
No. Are we waiting on you, JC?
No, they're conjecture, you know. They're sort of rumor. I think you find that where you get success, you'll always find this sort of rumor. No.
So the stories of the theft, they're not true also?
No, they're greatly exaggerated, greatly exaggerated. It's bad, you know. Things are going. but nothing like the rate that people indicate. The trouble is that people feel that because these boys are the Ruttles, people can come in and just help themselves to whatever they want, and this is just not on. And we're putting a stop to this, and we are doing. You know, it's almost dried up. Things have gone. I won't deny it. Television sets, the odd car belonging to the company has disappeared, but it's not extreme, you know. Although I did come in once and find that my office had been nicked, but it had been nicked by Ron Decline, who we'd called in to stop this sort of flow of goods from the building, so that was all right.
So once you see this stop, do you feel that Ruttle Coal will continue into the future?
Absolutely. I feel that once we've put a stop to this sort of bit of petty pilfering, Ruttle Coal will last for a very, very, very...
So is he the guy that's got the gray hair in this clip?
Do we lose Greg? Oh,
Hello,
he's still
Greg.
there. Do we lose you?
One of his things dropped out. I know that.
Oh, I think he's listening to the Facebook audio.
Hello?
Yeah, because we got quite a bit of delay on
As I say,
Facebook.
do we need like a sign just to hold him? Like,
We're good, man.
Professor Moptop, you're up.
I don't know if he lost his audio. It's the first time we've done this.
Hello. Okay. Something just happened.
Were you guys able to hear that, or did we lose audio on Facebook too?
No, I can hear. I was able to hear the clip the whole time.
Oh, okay.
On my end, and I was watching the video, and I saw the video clip up.
Okay.
So.
I know he's got one more clip left when we get him back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
You know what we could do is while Greg comes back is we could Kevin do you want to play your song and then we'll come back with Greg?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I put together some.
There he is. He's back.
All right. Can you hear us, Greg?
Hello?
Hello, Greg. Are you there?
We can see him. I wonder if he's just not hearing us.
It's weird.
Did the mute button get pressed or something?
I don't think so. He's not muted.
I mean, I was muting myself, but looking right now, all four of us are showing his. I can hear him now.
Yeah.
I can hear. I just heard his headphones taken off.
He can't hear us though. I don't think. I think he lost us.
Oh no.
Well, anyway, why don't we do this while we get Greg situated? And we'll do the end of the George Harrison stuff. Kevin's put together you recorded this today because we said we had Professor Moptop coming on. You want to do something with the Beatles, and so you did a rendition of "Hey Jude," right?
Yeah, this was how I spent my Saturday. I'm getting an internet connection that's unstable.
Oh, okay.
Not an internet connection unstable.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I spent my Saturday.
Yeah.
Amidst being a parent, taking care of the little one, getting breakfast and lunch and dinner and all that. But yeah, it was an enjoyable way to not spend time on social media and kind of up my anxiety levels.
Sure.
And I like where this song is going with my little version of it. I mean, it's such a great song. I had started to learn it months ago, and then just recently kind of found the sheet music again, and I, got invited to come and do this today. So, and thanks for having me. So I'm like,
Yeah. So what
I'm working on another cover that's kind of a parody of Dancing in the Street. So I'm doing Distance in the
Street
for today. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing that I'm putting out. But for now, it's Hey Jude.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna load that up. I'll let Greg get his mics situated, and then after that we'll come back and we'll finish. But yeah, this is all you too, right, Kevin? This is like every piece, everything is all you.
So I had some help with the nanas. A friend of mine stopped by, and I also recruited my daughter. So
Nice.
they're in there on the nanas, but the rest is moi.
All right. So this is Kevin Kramer's cover of Hey Jude.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start to make it better. Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then you begin to make it better. And anytime you feel the pain, hey Jude, refrain. Don't carry the world upon your shoulders. For well you know that it's a fool who plays it cool by making his world a little colder. Hey Jude, don't let me down.
Kevin.
Nice job, buddy.
Well, thank you guys. It's really interesting to hear that back because like I literally just 2 hours ago was like finishing the last vocal part, so I don't even know if I listened to the whole thing all the way through before I sent it off. But just the wonders of technology, you know, it's a wild, what a time to be alive, and
Yeah.
you know, I think just about any musician nowadays owes something to the Beatles. You know, we're all kind of standing on the shoulders of giants in some ways. So it's really cool to be able to, you know, share a tribute to them with, especially with somebody like your pal, Mr. Moptop here, the professor himself, Professor Moptop.
I didn't spend 5 years in a community college to be called Mr.
What? At what point though does it become Dr. Moptop? Is that a few more years of school, or is that?
You know what? I'm not even sure how it works. I think professor might be above Moptop or
above doctor.
Doctor.
Okay.
You could also just call me Greg. I answer to that.
I was going to say, you know, if you actually went doctor, I don't know if community college would cut it for doctor. I'm just saying. Hey, what were all the instruments you played on that, Kevin?
Well, you saw me strumming a ukulele here just for fun. I did not get to add the uke to it, but I started. So here's my process. About 10 o'clock a.m. I recorded a voice memo on just an acoustic guitar, and I played it and sang it, and just used that as like a guide track. Then I plugged it into Logic and started adding some synth. So I added like synth bass and kind of a higher synth patch that sounded kind of like strings, and then more of like a medium synth. And then I added some drums, drum machine. Then I added some percussion, so tambourine, shaker, and these little janglies at the end too.
Nice.
Do
Got some help
those
with
have
the
a
backing
name?
vocals. I got these from this local fella that does drum circles a lot, Dave Peterson, and they seem like they would be from like Asia somewhere. They're more like that type of like Indian or Nepal or Gamelan or something. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. They seem like classic Jingle Bells, you know?
Jingle bells certainly fit.
Yeah. They seem like they're from not like Walmart though, like some like world music store. So.
That's awesome.
But yeah, then just added some electric guitar and some voice, I think. So
it was really well done, man. Good job.
Thank you guys.
So
excellent. That was really nice to hear.
Cool.
And you know, Kevin, don't go anywhere because in a couple minutes, we'll have some questions for you.
Nice.
But we left off with the professor telling us about all the different aliases of George Harrison, and we got to the part where George was working with the Monty Python guys and did the whole Ruddles thing.
And we watched the clip.
Yeah. So where do we go after the Ruddles?
Well, after that, we go into the 80s when George was planning his comeback. Derek Taylor, who was the guy who Eric Manchester was based on, he wrote a really long fictional piece about a guy who had 5 sons from 5 different women, and all these sons grew up to be musicians. The name of this guy was Charles Truscott Wilbury. Now, in October of '88, when the Wilburys finally got together, for Volume 1, they all took fake names. And for Volume 1, the first album, George was Nelson Wilbury. Now, the liner notes were based on the writings of Derek Taylor, who were actually credited to Eric Manchester. And it's by a guy named Hugh Jampton, who is from the Faculty of Slave Notes at the University of Krakatoa, east of Java. He wrote about the Wilburys, who were a stationary people who eventually decided to travel, and they first went on long walks. First shorter walks, then longer walks. Hugh Jampton is actually Michael Palin, same guy who sings lead on the Lumberjack song, produced by George, oh not him again, Harrison. And then finally, for the second Wilbury album, which was Volume 3, they all again took fake names, but this time they took different fake names. And George was Spike Wilbury on this one. So as far as I know, these are all the different names that George came up with, or at least the ones that he wants us to know about. There might be a whole bunch more out there, and we just have no idea that it was actually George Harrison or George H. or Harry Georgeson or any of these dudes. Yes. So that's so the next time someone asks you, so does George Harrison have any fake names? You'll have something to talk about.
How many names did you give us total?
I want to say that's 12, but I can't count that high.
So yeah, he probably has like at least a dozen more somewhere floating around in the ether that aren't.
I like to think so.
Like what was his name that he used to check into the hotels with? Or did you tell us that one at the beginning?
I couldn't find that. That's one that I've actually looked for a few years.
Yeah.
Did you want to play Handle with Care?
Oh yes.
All right.
I always want to play Wilburys.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Let's play Handle with Care.
Beat up and battered around. I'm so tired of being lonely.
Who would have thought that there's only 2 Wilburys left? Right?
Yeah.
So what, Jeff Lynne and Bob Dylan, is that it?
That's right.
That's it.
And Roy died shortly after the release of Volume 1.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the secret weapon of that band? If you had to pick one, because none of them are real secrets.
Probably Tom Petty. Tom Petty grew up just loving the Beatles, just loving music, just living it. And not only getting to grow up and meet George and meet Bob Dylan and meet these guys, but he got to be friends with them and collaborate with them. He's a really good piece of glue in the middle. Not that any of them are anything to sneeze at.
I think his documentary, if I'm not mistaken, is called Running Down a Dream. I think that's what it's called. It's like a 4-hour documentary. It's really long, but it was excellent. And there was a good chunk of stuff in there on the Wilburys documentary.
Facebook is not liking the music that we're playing tonight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the Wilburys don't like the Facebook.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I would say if it were me, I would say the secret weapon is the just incredible vocals that Roy Orbison can provide. So that would be my take on it. So.
Yes, Roy is an incredible talent. He surpasses many.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna skip ahead, and I think we need to go because it's like 8:05 right now, and I promised people an hour tonight. So
that's all you promised? That's it?
I did.
Oh,
I mean, do you
thought
want
this was going to go until like the end of this whole pandemic thing.
Well, do we?
Oh man, I cleared my calendar for the next 16 to 24 days.
Well, I got a big giant gallon bucket in here for me to.
We've got a round of trivia to come up, and then also we had put together a list. I saw somebody post this on Facebook the other day, and I liked it. Which is like a bunch of random questions about bands and artists. And I just wanted to go do a quick round table and see what each person would say with it. First one is, band I turn the station when I hear them come on. So what band is it that when you hear them come on a radio station,
Bon Jovi, instantly. And I've heard these songs so many times, you know it as soon as they start.
I mean, we're probably hurting the participation. Isn't there a participation right now of a Bon Jovi sing-along in Chicago? Aren't we hurting that right now by doing our podcast, vodcast, whatever you call it, competing against that? So
I don't know. I think that's supposed to be over.
Oh, yeah. We've only got 10 eyeballs right now. So hey.
Shap, what are you? What is it for you?
Oh man, pretty much almost anything pop music this day and age. But I don't even know half the damn names of the artists anymore. That's what happens when you don't work for a radio station that plays current music anymore. But if I had to pick an artist as somebody else, I'm gonna go Creed. I'm gonna go Creed over Nickelback just because Scott Stapp's vocals is just. I mean, it's seriously It's unspeakable. I can't even describe it.
I'm proud to say that I hated Nickelback before they were even signed to a record label.
Nice.
Trendsetter. Yeah, I'm very proud of that fact. Yeah, thank you.
Kevin, is there anything for you?
It's funny because as soon as Shap said that, those were the first 2 bands that came to my mind without me having to even make an effort to think about answering the question. So I don't know. I guess Nickelback hasn't officially been selected, but yeah, I mean, I think they're like really good musicians, but they just choose to play the music they play because it's just like this kind of agreement between them and the music business people. So I don't know. Yeah, they're just like, give us, and see. So like, with bands like that, so Chad Kroeger to me reminds me of like, you know, a little bit like really watered down, corporatized Kurt Cobain. You know, so the loss of Kurt Cobain left this giant gap in the music business, and then, you know, they had like a lot of people like Daniel Johns from Silverchair. You know, they went out there in like the mid '90s with their first album. But yeah, to me, like Nickelback just kind of like, that's what the music business people wanted Nirvana to become.
Nirvana was never
something like that.
I mean, I could be wrong. It would have been nice to be able to see them live long enough to see what would have happened if they were still around, but I don't picture that ever being possible.
No, exactly. And I mean, that's, you know, that type of pressure is probably something that, you know.
Would I get in trouble if I said that I turn the station every time Steely Dan comes on?
No.
Yeah.
No. I turn the station about half the time. So
yeah, like really,
maybe 3/4.
Their first album, I like their first album. Yeah. So I think it's called Can't Buy
I just want to fall asleep.
Half the best of. It's about all you need.
All right, ready. Next one. Band I think is overrated. Band I think is overrated.
See, we can answer the same question, same bands for all.
You can't. You have to pick a different one this time.
Oh, okay. Band I think is overrated. Okay.
Now, what might be an unpopular opinion is I always thought REM was overrated. And I know that they have some really rabid and loyal fans, and, you know, clearly they were talented and popular, but I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, without REM, there'd be no Nirvana, so, I mean...
Without the Pixies, there'd be no Nirvana.
There would be, yes.
Just be glad we're not in the same room. I'd throw a chair.
Okay, we gotta hang out and talk
All right. So Greg says REM. Shap, what did you say for overrated?
Overrated band.
Yeah.
I'll say The Offspring. They're
okay.
I don't even know if they are overrated or not, but
no, they're overrated.
Yeah.
Definitely overrated. The only time I ever left a concert before the last encore.
Kevin?
You know, that's such an interesting question, because there's so many like, you know, when I was growing up, it was like Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit, Korn. That's like what, like my 8th grade freshman year, that's what was getting pushed on people.
All of them,
you know,
can qualify for this category.
Yeah. So too many to pick in a certain way. But yeah, I mean, see, I don't know. I thought about Sum 41, but I also kind of enjoyed some of their stuff too. But like it's like, you know, Blink 182, Sum 41. They just, you know, there's one band that has a sound, and then they lump a bunch of other bands with that.
Sure.
So yeah.
JC, go.
Oh, band that I think is overrated. Bette Midler.
That's a lame answer right there.
That's a lame answer. That's
all right.
A lame answer.
Band.
Who I kind of like the Divine Miss M. If I'm not being totally honest.
Band I think is underappreciated.
I can start for this one if you want. I'll give you two, and they're the two that I always see the most for this: Local H and Urge Overkill. So,
yeah, those are good picks. They're both kind of Midwest popular, but they should be much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean the story of, especially of Local H, of what happened to them, you know, with the Island merger getting bought out by Interscope Records right when they were about to really blow up, and then all of a sudden losing any type of publicity because Island, or rather Interscope, was like, well, we got to make sure Bono from U2 is happy. So they're our number one priority. So anything that wasn't
everybody
basically got shit on.
Everybody got signed in the late 90s, early 2000s. Everyone got signed. That was when the music industry had the most amount of money.
But the case of Local H, they were on Island Records. Their third album that they had produced by your guy, Roy Thomas Baker, who produced Queen's Records.
Yeah.
They had backing. They had money from Island to make the record. And then all of a sudden, when it came time to start publicity for the record, that's when Island went under and they were being bought by Interscope. And then they lost their label connection. The guy who was their backer got fired from the label.
Yeah.
So
Anybody else underappreciated band?
Badfinger.
Oh, good call.
Badfinger's really underappreciated. They have a really sad story.
Yes.
They had a really good potential, an amazing amount of talent. Even though they put out a relatively small amount of albums, maybe a half a dozen or so, they really put some top level stuff. And it's always a little frustrating to me that there's only 3 or 4 songs they ever play on classic rock radio.
Were they the first band besides the Beatles on Apple?
They were among the first. Billy Preston was right there.
Okay.
The James Taylor, he was on top of that. Mary Hopkins. Yeah, these were some of the first people on the Apple Records.
Did everybody
label,
freeze?
Yes. And none of them, other than James Taylor, had, huge success. Yeah. So that's my answer. Badfinger. Final answer.
Do you have one, Kevin?
I'm gonna say a band from that came about in the early 2000s called the RX Bandits. They put out
I remember them.
5 excellent records. They started off on Drive Through Records, kind of the ska, pop punk, not necessarily pop punk, but ska punk type sound. But they really evolved into this progressive rock band with just really great vocals and hooks and everything. So yeah, that would be my answer. Them or maybe the Mars Volta even.
Oh, that's a good band.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of like the modern day Zeppelin in some ways. Yeah, I got my friend here.
I don't think I have one.
What?
I don't have an underappreciated band.
You were all about doing these questions. Now you're going to answer that
I'm not going to answer the underappreciated one because I don't think I have one. How about Eric Church?
Disappointing.
He needs more crossover success. Let's see here. Band I love. I know Greg's answer.
You don't know my answer.
What's your answer then?
My answer is the Kinks.
The Kinks is the band you love?
Yeah, they're so smart. They're so intelligent. They made it through several different eras very successfully. They have a lot of really bright, clever, punchliney songs, a lot of really good albums, a lot of deep cuts. I love them.
Oh, band I love, huh?
Was I the only one who did my homework?
First?
I think you're the only one that did your homework.
Yeah. Oh, you actually wrote it down? You actually have all these answered?
I typed it out. I have a cue card guy over there.
JC, do you have one?
The band I love, I would say Queen is my band.
I knew that would be your answer, or at least I thought it would be.
That one's the easy one for me.
Yeah.
We this was the first artist that got brought up today, aside from the Beatles, with Dylan. For me, I know he's a controversial figure nowadays as he still performs and can barely sing. But I think just the fact that he's, had such this extensive career and how many people he's influenced and how many great songs he's written, regardless of his vocal ability.
He is just in a world all his own.
Yeah.
No one can touch him. No one has a even similar path that he has.
Yeah.
And I always argue the fact that John Lennon was trying to be like Bob Dylan, specifically in early 1965, 66. And Bob Dylan was never trying to be anyone. He was just trying to be Bob.
I'm gonna go
I'd
with
like
the
to
Who.
change my answer.
I'm gonna go with the Who. That's who I'm gonna pick for band I love.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Who. So it's hard not to love the Who.
It's hard not to love every Who song as well. They put a lot of care into even what would be their deep cuts or throwaways, their chorus spiders.
Band I can listen to over and over again.
I'm going to go with the White Stripes because I never really get tired of listening to them. I can put them on and always find a groove and enjoy that. And of all the band, and I've seen the White Stripes, fortunately, but whenever Meg gets over her fear of being on stage or whatever it is that she has, there is millions and millions of dollars waiting for them to reunite. Millions. Because even though Jack White still makes amazing music and still is a hell of a performer to see live, he's one of those that you don't miss when he comes through a city that you live in or you're close to. It's still not the White Stripes.
there's something different, exciting, and primal about the White Stripes.
There is.
Yes.
It's just completely different than. I mean, I like Brendan Benson. I think he's a great songwriter. I think him and Jack and the Rockin' Tours are fun. And I mean, I saw them on New Year's Eve one year. It was great. But
Same way that Wings is fantastic, but they're not the Beatles.
Correct. Would you really go and say the Wings is fantastic? Would you really go that far?
Basically, Paul McCartney.
The Paul McCartney show. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Paul and Linda.
I mean, Band on the Run from start to finish is pretty damn good. I'm not going to take that away from them. So.
Yeah. Maybe not spectacular.
Band I can listen to over and over again. I would say Green Day.
Nice.
It's easy for me.
I can listen to Dookie over and over again.
Yeah.
Some of the other records, then maybe not.
I mean, the new one's 22 minutes long.
And it's not very good either.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Is everybody else? Nothing? Nothing.
I haven't checked out the new Green Day.
It's not bad.
Didn't the Who just put out a new album though too? You mentioned the Who. I thought I
think
heard
they
something.
did. Yeah.
Did they put it out, or is it coming soon?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the case. So. Then again, who knows when anything's coming out now? So.
Except for Frozen 2 or 3. One of the Frozen movies is coming out early. But James Bond's not coming out.
I know, I'm bummed about that.
I think Greg and Kevin, band you can listen to over and over again.
Not just Bob Dylan, which I could pick any album from his entire career and give it a fresh listen all the time. But Stevie Wonder, his albums are just filled with so much emotion, so much excitement. They're a lot of fun. They're really interesting. There's always unusual noises going on. They're just excellent. They're just top notch, top shelf. They're like the really, really good scotch.
Nice. He's another one that has had such an extensive career. I mean, he started in like the early mid 60s.
He was born in 1950. And by the time he was 25, he had put out like 10 albums. It's just a remarkable amount of really high-level stuff to come out in such a short time.
Well, I just thought of another good trivia question. So.
What's that?
No, I'll save it. Go ahead. Keep going. Who's next? JC?
I did mine already.
Yeah, I would say like as far as a band that everybody knows, I would go with the Police. Just that trio, power trio interaction. I just never get tired of listening to the Police. They always have cool things going on, and I mean, Sting's
always fresh and exciting and short. They don't have
they just
12-minute opuses.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else?
Sub question: how do you feel about solo Sting? Because I'd rather go to the dentist.
Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I haven't listened to that much of it, to be honest with you, but I just know that he like sought out jazz musicians to play with a bit. So I guess I can respect that, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to be nice.
You don't like Sting. You don't like the Police, do you, Jason?
I love the Police.
I don't mind the Police.
I don't like solo Sting. It's like he was great, and then just stop.
Well, and I think you're talking about being short. The fact that their career as a band, minus the reunion, was short, I think helped their shelf life a ton. Because
that makes a big difference.
You got what, 5 albums, and I mean, there's really you could maybe find 2 or 3 bad songs in the entire catalog. So.
How about
there's a lot to be said about knowing when to get out.
How about the band that made you fall in love with music?
I have sort of an odd choice, I think.
Go ahead.
Because it's the Monkees.
Nice.
When I was a young kid, they were what was on TV. We swiped some records from my uncle, who probably wasn't as cool as we thought he was at the time, but some of the things he had were the Monkees albums, and they were great. And we listened to them again and again, and it just kind of opened my ears to music. Yes.
That was actually the Wrecking Crew, though, right? Playing the instruments on their albums.
That's some of it. There's basically 2 solid albums that the Monkees played every instrument on, and then a bunch that they played a little on, and then a lot that they didn't play at all.
And the people that are still watching too, if you guys want to weigh in on any of this stuff, feel free to look at it, see what you guys are saying. I would say for me, it's Led Zeppelin. Did they, I've had this discussion a lot about classic rock bands and the ones that are the most accessible. They may not be the best rock and roll bands, or they may, like for me, the Rolling Stones were inaccessible to me as Led Zeppelin was. Led Zeppelin was, you can get into them right away, you're off and running. Whereas Zeppelin, with the Stones, I give a greater appreciation later in life, especially their classic album period when you get a little bit older and understand a little bit more. But I'll never forget moving with my dad. We were moving from his apartment in Justice, Craig. You'll know that area. Back to Allsip. He had a place right across the street from the Park District there in Allsip, across Costa there. And we were going down this back road by Central, back by the factories and stuff, like 122nd, and this big curve, and we're in this big U-Haul moving truck. And I think Whole Lotta Love was on, and my dad like cranked this shitty ass stereo in this U-Haul moving truck, and we went up on two wheels. So I'm like, all right, there you go. That's the power of music right there. So I just, he had Zeppelin on vinyl, and so yeah.
Nice. That's epic.
Anyway, I'll go. I got similar. Like my dad was he wasn't into Zeppelin. He liked Three Dog Night. So we listened to a lot of Three Dog Night growing up. And so like that, and I think Harry Chapin. Those were some of the records and 8-tracks that we had. So I would say, growing up, in the first like pop music that we listened to was a lot of Three Dog Night.
It's interesting how there's a point in your life that you could only listen to what's out there. And now, for a young kid getting into music, they can get anything they want at any point.
Yep.
It's kind of curious that if you only have Three Dog Night, or if you only have the Monkees,
yeah, or
sing along with Mitch.
And that was like less than a century of recorded music that it had even been documented. We're just like a little bit over a century of recorded music itself. So in that aspect, yeah, it's super interesting, and everyone has a different soundtrack from what they hear, So
it's amazing too how the stuff that you love when you're in that 10 to 15, 20-year-old range really sticks with you forever.
Oh yeah.
Even some of the terrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, Green Day, to bring them up, and Dookie again. Like I was 7, and Basket Case was the first song I learned all the lyrics for, and I didn't understand what like some of the lyrics were, but I just learned all the lyrics. That song really. I mean, we had Columbia House, so that was.
Oh, so you had 6 copies of Dookie.
Something like that, yeah.
For 99 cents.
I don't know.
I have like 9 of Skyscraper. I use one to stick under the door when the wind blows.
Skyscraper?
Yeah, David Lee Roth solo one. I checked the wrong box. And boy, I tell you, I checked the wrong box.
So where are we at? We're on a band that changed my life.
Anyone want to go? If not, I'll start.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Greg.
The Blues Brothers. As a young kid, staying up till 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday night to watch these guys sing these old blues songs, and then go see the movie and hearing all this amazing R&B, and then learning about James Brown and Ray Charles and on and on and on and on and on. Aretha Franklin and John Lee Hooker. And then that got me into Sam and Dave, which got me into Otis Redding. And then when I started buying the albums, I started to check out where some of these songs come from. And I get into some of the old blues, and I got into a really odd thing to go from the Blues Brothers to Randy Newman, who's been one of my favorites for a really, really long time. And on top of all that, not only is the Blues Brothers the greatest movie ever in the history, they also taught me how to swear. and because they were cool, I knew that swearing's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to go with Pearl Jam. That'd be the band I would say that changed my life. So I feel I've learned a lot of, as cheesy as it sounds, life lessons from them. So we'll put it that way. So
reasonable. And you've been a loyal fan of them since you first heard them, right, Shap?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, my first, my cousin CJ I'm an only child, so I didn't have any older brothers or sisters to raid, and my family was small, so he bought me 10 for Christmas the one year. And I, had heard a few songs and stuff, but and I just became hooked after that. So, but as a young adolescent child who was struggling with high school and anything that Alan B. Shepard can throw at you, coming home and being able to put that as loud as it could go saved me. So
it's also interesting that you say that you're an only child. That has a lot to do sometimes with how you get introduced to stuff. My sister Amy, who's 3 years older than me, was heavily into Hall & Oates when they were #1. And this was in the mid 80s, not their greatest period, but then we would go back and buy their older albums, which were really, really much, a lot better than like Kiss on My List and Maneater and One on One.
Well, there's nothing wrong with Kiss on My List or Maneater. I mean,
what's that?
There's nothing wrong with Kiss on My List or Maneater.
There's not. No, there's not. Their earlier stuff is very folksy and airy.
Yes. Matter of fact, I just did a show on them. I do a show called Roots. I mean, we break down roots of the artist, and we'll listen to the whole catalog. And some of their first couple of albums before they really started to get their own sound established, I was like, whoa, this is a tough listen. So,
did you play the War Babies album? Produced by Todd Rundgren.
I think I did play that record. Yes.
Now, this was a pretty drastic jump when my sister and I were kind of expecting that big bam boom Hall & Oates out of touch kind of music, and we dropped the needle on this, and it was kind of eye opening.
What is this?
Oh, this is cool. This is Hall & Oates. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Pixies.
Oh, it's a very good choice.
And the reason is because is it Trompe Le Monde, or I'm trying to think of which one that I got introduced to first. I know one of the singles on it was Velouria, and I don't think that's Trompe Le Monde.
It's the third record.
It's the third one, and we had a guy living with us from Belgium, and he was a senior in high school, and it was right on the cusp of the alternative boom. And he kind of brought all of his music. Like, he introduced me to the Sex Pistols. He introduced me to the Pixies, Nine Inch Nails,
Bossa
Nova. And so he got me hooked on that record, that Bossa Nova record. And I was like 11 or 12 at the time. And
how lucky were you to have that?
I know, because it's like you said, like Greg said, with having an older sister and doing the Hall & Oates thing, he was kind of like an older brother who was introducing me to music. Because my sister was just like watching Dirty Dancing every day after school at that point. So it was
which
huge.
There's pretty good music on that too,
which is a fantastic soundtrack.
It is.
And I don't like to talk ill of the dead.
Yes.
But that Patrick Swayze song,
She's Like the Wind. My daughter's in love with it now too. So, but I mean that was the first. Because I mean at that time what was hot was like Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer, and I had those, and I had the Hammer pants, and everything else was crazy. And Nick was
you still have those?
I still do. I wore them last night. But anyway, it's another story. So anyway, my wife, or not my wife, my Nick introduced me to all this music.
Your other wife.
And it was pretty. It was a game changer because it started my interest in not just pop music, but finding other stuff too. And then after that, I really started to get into the Seattle scene and stuff like that. But Pixies kind of started it for me, and so that would be the one for me. Changed my life.
Kevin, you have an answer?
Kevin, did you do that one?
Yeah, I did not yet. So for me, I would say it was the Wailers.
Oh, nice.
It's about coming out of high school, starting to go to IVCC. I had this one CD, like the best of, and just that was the first time I'd really listened to reggae music, and just the architecture of it is so different than so many other styles of music that I really just kind of gained a whole new perspective from the music and from the things they were singing about, and just learning more about those guys' lives. It's really, I mean, Peter Tosh got assassinated. They attempted to assassinate Bob Marley. That's 2 out of the 3. And then Bunny Wailer is still alive. So, yeah, I mean, just how much music that stuff has gone on to influence too is it's pretty amazing.
Good answer.
how it can.
Yeah, Bob Marley's he's a pretty special guy in the whole pantheon of music.
It's true. It's true. Jamaica is a interesting place, I guess, from what I hear.
All right, next one. Band that surprised me.
My answer is Rush. For a good chunk of my life, we're talking until my mid-30s, I hated Rush. They were terrible. And one day I was watching that documentary about them, the Beyond the Lighted Stage. I'll watch a documentary about any band. And I started thinking, well, this isn't such a bad song. This is kind of a cool song, too. And then I woke up one morning and I heard Spirit on the radio. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And then I just went from 0 to 60 and I got everything and I played it all and I listened to it all and did my research, got to see them in their second to last tour. And boy, if somebody told teenage Greg that one day you're going to be an old geezer and you're going to love Rush, I probably would have scoffed at them.
It's a good guess. Good answer, and yeah, very solid band. I would say this one might be a little surprising, but to you that I would say it. But I'm going to say Black Sabbath. Why they surprised me for a couple of reasons. I just did a real deep dive on them, and up until this, I mean, I knew the whole album of Paranoid, but I didn't really dive into the rest of their catalog all that much. And a couple of things that stood out to me, besides the fact that their first 6 albums are just fantastic from start to finish,
just dynamite.
And
just great.
You think heavy metal, and I'm not a big metal guy. I'm when I think metal, I'm thinking Metallica's about as loud as I go, maybe some Tool, and that's about it. But all the bands that I love, all those Seattle bands, that grunge sound is all because of Black Sabbath. They fucking invented grunge. I mean, the whole Master of Reality album is a template for what Soundgarden does. I mean, that's it. So, and then not only that, I mean, the amazing story of Tony Iommi with making his kind of own fingertips from materials that he could play, but the amazing, beautiful interludes there are of songs that they'll do, like little instrumental breakdowns. You're like, this can't possibly be the same band that plays Electric Funeral and War Pigs and, and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, but they can't. I mean, JC, if you have never listened to all of their first so many albums, there's beautiful interludes in there that you could have for a wedding prelude to a ceremony, and Grandma and Grandpa would have no fucking clue that you're playing Black Sabbath.
Unless they're really, really cool grandparents.
Yes.
So who's up?
You or Kevin?
All right, I'll say, well, this is an offshoot of the Beach Boys, but Brian Wilson, right? Because my first introduction to the Beach Boys was through the Muppets, like the song Kokomo. That was on the Muppets, so that was my earliest association with that band. But then by the time I hear Smile and Pet Sounds, I'm like, wow, this is completely different.
Genius.
Than this little cartoon, really, I mean, because the Beach Boys kind of split off because there's Mike Love, right?
Yeah. But he's the asshole of the group, isn't he?
Yeah, so he still performs Beach Boys stuff too, but he does more the Kokomo and the later stuff. And then,
isn't there the Beach Boys and America's Beach Boys and the original Beach Boys and the Beach Boy family?
One of the best stories ever from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was the year the Beach Boys got inducted, with the same year the Rolling Stones, and Mike Love was fucking wasted and goes up on stage and he's like, "You tell Mick and Keith we'll play against them any day. The Beach Boys will blow them off the stage anytime."
Oh boy.
Yes. It's so sad when old men fight
about music.
My band that surprised Oh, go ahead. My band that surprised me, I actually went to go see Wilco a couple of times, but that's not the band that surprised me. The opener for Wilco did. I saw Fountains of Wayne open for Wilco, and I enjoyed that so much more than Wilco.
Fun band.
Just because the guys, they are probably the tightest songwriters when it comes to writing just really good pop rock songs. And I know that Stacy's Mom was the big pop rock song from them. But if you explore their entire catalog, their stuff is just really good. And I think they Schlesinger, is that the guy's name? The bassist? He wrote all the music for like That Thing You Do. I think he did music for like the Chipmunks movies and stuff like that. He just writes really good pop songs.
The bassist, though, too, you say?
Yeah, the bassist.
Huh.
And he put together a power pop trio with this is Bunny Cheeks? Is that it? Cheap Trick?
Bunny Carlos.
Bunny Carlos, yeah.
I'm not even close. Bunny Carlos, and then James
Close
Eha.
enough.
James Eha from the Smashing
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins, and then Taylor Hanson. And they have a power pop trio, it's more a trio, power pop band called, what was the name? I'm going to lose it right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I just lost it. But it was really awesome. With the
Tinted Windows?
Tinted Windows. That was it. Really good. So, yeah, Fountains of Wayne, band that surprised me.
We used to play them at Wonk. I remember playing
We did.
Sink to the Bottom. That's our old college radio station.
Yeah.
Sink to the Bottom was a great song. Red Dragon Tattoo.
Red Dragon
That's a good
Tattoo is a
one, too.
fantastic tune. So, anyway, band surprised me, Fountains of Wayne. Guilty
But-
pleasure. Oh, you got something else?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you saw Wilco, was it before Jeff Tweedy got sober?
I saw Wilco in the early 2000s.
So yeah, I think that would be before he got sober, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how crazy
it was
he got,
Yankee
but, like-
Hotel Foxtrot was the big album from them at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And
then they did Sky Blue Sky, I think, after he sobered up.
Yeah.
But I mean, performing consistently every night is like, yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do.
No.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
How,
Guilty pleasure.
I mean, what was it about Wilco though that you just?
I don't know. It's probably the same thing that I have, same issue I have with Steely Dan.
Okay. So when you went to the concert though, were you going for Fountains of Wayne then?
I was more going. I'd seen Wilco one other time. I saw him in a small. I think I saw him at like Chicago Theater or something. It was a smaller venue, maybe Riv, probably Riv. I think I saw Wilco at the Riv, and it was a decent show. I really enjoyed it, and I'm like, they're playing Summerfest, so I grabbed. It was when Heidi and I were first dating, so I grabbed her, and we went up to Milwaukee to go see Wilco and some other bands, and Fountains of Wayne just happened to be open. I'm like, I remember them from college, and Stacy's Mom hadn't quite hit yet, and Welcome Interstate Managers, which was the album, had just been released, and I just really enjoyed their show. It was a really good show, and I think after they finished and then Wilco came on, I'm like, I've seen him.
I hear you. Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that was the one. That was the band that surprised me. Your guilty pleasure band.
Absolutely no such thing.
Okay.
If you love a piece of music, that's all that counts.
Sure.
You should not feel guilty for it.
That's right.
If you get pleasure out of burning down rest homes, you go to the old folks' home and start fires and you enjoy it, you should feel guilty. You know, taking little kids candy on Halloween, if you get pleasure from that,
Guilty.
good. You
I
should
thought-
feel guilty.
When you started saying about the
I
old
love
person's
John
home,
Denver. What's that?
when you started saying about the old person home, I was going to say, thought you were going to say there's no such thing as that being guilty at first.
No. You should absolutely, yes. You should absolutely feel guilty if you're committing arson.
All right, John Denver.
John Denver. People will say, "Oh, he's lame. He's whatever. He's flaky. He's far. He's fantastic. He's fun. He's talented. He's he's charming. You should never feel guilty." That being said, John Denver.
John Denver.
I will say this. I don't know if you're familiar with the band called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, Greg. But
Yes, and they
yeah,
cover Annie's song.
Correct. Well, I saw them this past summer, and they did Country Roads Take Me Home. There's nothing I think I've ever experienced in my life than seeing a true circle pit where guys and girls are just running around in a circle, not slam dancing, just dancing and moshing in a circle to Country Roads Take Me Home. It's nothing like it, ever.
All right, probably a lot like a John Denver show.
All right. Guilty pleasures, Kevin.
Yeah.
Are you on the same vibe with Greg on that? I have a feeling you are because we've had several conversations about this.
Yeah, but I would say though at the same time, Eminem.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's something kind of cathartic about listening to it in a sense, just because it's like seems like he's letting off steam. But also at the same time, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, this music probably really fucks with a lot of people's heads. Just the explicitness of it.
Is there a more influential artist of the last 20 years than Eminem?
It's a good
on
question.
popular music, not talking
Good question.
about talent. I mean, he's very
See,
talented.
See, and I'm on Kevin's wavelength because I had two in my head, and the first one was Kanye. Like, I just there's something about
Because he's such a fucking jerk? Or?
Yeah. Well, his music is it's good. Like a lot of it, I really enjoy. And the same thing, like, you know, I took Jake to go see Imagine Dragons, and I know they've become like the new Nickelback. And
Yes.
we went and saw him twice, and I didn't mind it so much, you know.
I think it's just because of how much Imagine Dragons got played.
Yeah.
For like a few years span, they got. Like, I would turn on the radio and like 50-50 chance I was gonna.
We're losing Kevin.
They're about the only.
we'll
They're about the only current pop rock band that that has a slight tendency to have rock associated with them. That gets played on your top 40 radio or your hot AC radio. Not right now. I mean, they're about it. So. Yeah.
Band you just finally started listening to?
I'm gonna say Cheap Trick for me because they were a band that I hated for the longest time. Similar to what Greg said about Rush, I just could not stand Cheap Trick for the longest time, and I think a large part of it was expectations of what happened to me when I was in high school, going to a Lollapalooza show, and it was in Rockford, Hanukkah, if you will.
Yeah.
And that was the year it was like a metal palooza, so it was Metallica and Soundgarden. They were the two main bands. The Ramones were on the bill, who I could give two shits about back then, and I wish I would have paid attention when I was there. I mean, at least I could say I saw the Ramones, but
it's good that you feel bad about it, though.
I do. I feel bad.
I'm glad that you feel bad.
I also feel bad for not appreciating Cheap Trick because Cheap Trick each stop had like a rotating bill of a special guest to play. Well, Rage Against the Machine was supposed to be the special guest, and at the time they were like one of the biggest bands on the planet. So I mean, Evil Empire was out; they were huge. So, and I was a huge Rage fan, so it was like, yes, we're gonna get to see Rage. And then we're like, fuck you, Cheap Trick. We want Rage Against the Machine. So I think I held that against Cheap Trick for a really long time. Now they're another band that I did a deep dive with recently for that Roots show. And damn, they're fucking good. They're so, I mean, power pop. You want power pop, your Fountains of Wayne and stuff like that. Go back to Cheap Trick and what they did. And that's their power pop at its best. Hello?
Hello.
I agree.
I would say for me, the Grateful Dead. Partially just because some of the gigs I've gotten recently have been playing some of that music. And recently meaning over the last few years. So yeah, they were a band I never really grew up listening to, but learning more about them. And I think with them like coming back and doing their thing with like John Mayer and Oteil Burbridge, who's a pretty amazing
he is a
musician in his own
phenomenal
right.
bass player. He is a
Yeah.
monster. He has such a good feel. See,
Yeah.
I've always loved the Grateful Dead, and as I go to these events now, I love how many young kids keep showing up, and this is because of John Mayer. That he's bringing, a whole new generation to it. And it sounds so corny, but it's such a vibe, such a cool feeling, such a bit of togetherness at these shows.
It's an interesting
The
American
question-
phenomenon, yeah.
Let's see here. Band you just finally started listening to. I did Dolly Parton on that one.
Is that because of the Ken Burns country music?
No, I listen to Radiolab as one of my podcasts.
Dolly Parton's America.
That's it. Jab Abendrod, is that the host name? And he did a whole season of Dolly Parton's America, and I just fell in love with it. And
I listened to that too, yeah.
It was so good, and like how he tied Dolly to like everything. And to the point that we actually were planning on going to Pigeon Forge this summer. So, and I mean, working, spending so much time in classic country music in my 20s and working with, you probably remember Lamar, who introduced me to like all this old country music and stuff. I've always had a place. I guess since my early 20s had a place for it, but my wife grew up on that stuff, so she knows the whole catalog, and then listening to that podcast just got me in, and I'm just like, okay, I want to learn more about my Tennessee Mountain home. So just a really good body of music. So Dolly, what are we off to now? Band I should have seen by now.
I've never seen Cheap Trick. I've been close a couple times, but for whatever reason, I've never seen them. I might go see them in Tinley at the end of this year, if this year is still a thing at the end of the year.
Who are they opening for? Because aren't they stuck opening for somebody?
I think they're with Rod Stewart.
Oh,
and I think
okay.
it depends on which night, who plays first.
No. Rod Stewart will headline then, unfortunately. So now, if Rod Stewart, considering he's got Cheap Trick opening, if Rod Stewart sticks to like Faces era Rod Stewart, then hey, yeah. But I doubt you're going to get that.
Yeah. You know how before I said how the Kinks were able to successfully go through several different generations and still kind of retain their hipness, their coolness?
That's not Rod Stewart.
Not Rod Stewart. That's not Rod Stewart.
No. Forever young, baby. Forever young. Let's see. Band I should have seen by now. I'm going to go with the Arctic Monkeys. So.
All right.
Weezer.
Kevin.
Metallica? I mean, AC/DC was my first concert, so.
Nice.
Why didn't I get
That's a good way to start.
I have not seen AC/DC either.
So, I mean, Lars is Lars. He's a controversial figure.
How about band I wish I had seen?
I wish I saw Kiss in their before the days when they took their makeup off. Back in the day when no one was quite sure who they really were. It's just fun. Sparks and fire and fog. It's just fun. So what if it's dudes painted up like mimes? I'm okay with that.
So that's now going back through all the answers we get and trying not to repeat myself here. Band I wish I had seen. Oh shit. I'm gonna have to think about this one for a minute here.
I can't believe I'm the only one who did my homework.
Dude, I would say, I'm on the spot here. I would say the mothers of invention and Zappa, like that. Seeing them at pretty much any point, I think would have just been something else.
Yeah, I imagine even on an unusual night, Zappa was probably still pretty amazing to see, especially at that Mother's era.
Yeah. That's my answer.
I'm going to go Hendrix. I'll go with the Hendrix Experience. I was going to say either them or Cream, but I'll go Hendrix.
You know, I can't answer Queen again. I mean, I've seen Queen without Freddie, but not with. I can't answer it twice because I was part of the rules. But band, I'm still disappointed I never got a chance to see Petty. Tom Petty. So
I've had mixed experiences with Petty live.
Yeah.
I've seen him twice. He was amazing the first time I saw him, and then I saw him 10 years later, and it was like the exact same show from 10 years before.
Yeah.
And I was bored. I was like, I saw this already. So.
How about a great band 2C?
The Flaming Lips.
Yeah, good answer.
I knew you were going to say them at some point tonight.
A fun rock and roll show.
Hey.
Just confetti and fog and lasers and a humongous disco ball, and the guy gets in a big hamster ball and runs on the crowd and then stands up and everybody goes nuts, and then he runs around in the crowd a little bit more. Nothing but fun. You can't have enough confetti in this world.
Did you see the Sean Lennon's new band? Because I don't know. I feel when I think of Flaming Lips now, I think of Sean Lennon because he's like tied in with them somehow now, isn't he?
Yeah, they've done some stuff with Yoko. They were on I think they were on Conan.
Yeah.
And Yoko sat in the bag.
Yeah, it was like Sean.
Oh, I forgot about gigantic balloons. Thank you very much, Patrick.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
But then,
Patrick reminded me that I forgot to say gigantic balloons.
Have you seen? Well, it was Sean Lennon and Les Claypool right now. Have it?
The Delirium?
Yes.
Yeah. It's something to Delirium or something, yeah.
It looks like something fun.
I'm going to say, I know I already said them once, although Primus is a good band to see, but I already said him on this episode, but not in the, as an answer. Me first and the Gimme Gimmes, because it was, yeah, as Greg said, fun. That was the most, like, just straight up fun I've had at a concert in a long time. It was just so much fun.
Kevin, you want to go? Or you
Go
want
Go
me to?
Bordello.
Who is that?
Go Go Bordello. They're like this gypsy punk band.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sold.
And it was like the most
That's
fun
all it takes.
concert. Yeah, it was at not the Riviera, but the
Metro.
No, a bigger room that got closed down. Congress.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Was it
That was a shithole of a venue, though. They needed
Hey,
to close it down. It
you
wasn't safe.
apologize to shitholes everywhere.
I saw Chris Cornell there.
I
and-
got handled really roughly by a security guard there at a Motorhead show once.
Wow. I saw Chris
And
Cornell.
when we saw Toots and the Mayhals there, that guy spent way too much time touching me.
I saw Chris Cornell there. It was the only time I was there, and it was pouring rain. It was a thunderstorm outside, and it was raining on the stage in there because there were holes in the theater. I'm not even kidding. The electrical equipment. It was raining on the stage. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not.
I've got two great bands, which I had two thoughts in my head. First thought was Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. One of the best shows I ever saw, House of Blues. They were just amazing. But the other one that I had a great time at, which a lot of times when I go to the Metro, like I usually got my ass kicked. Like every time I went to the Metro, I got my ass handed to me.
I said I was sorry about that, JC.
But the one time I went, the mosh pit broke up into a conga line. Was for They Might Be Giants, and I had a great time at that show. So I would say They Might Be Giants would be my
Didn't
great.
you go to
band
that with Von Zinko?
Yes, I did. It was a blast, man. We had a great time. It was a fun show.
I believe he's a new dad, actually.
Yeah. So. All right, so that's our bands. We spent a lot of time on that. We've got time for trivia, and we'll do this, and we'll wrap up the show for tonight. We're pushing 2 hours here, guys.
Close.
So where are we going to
We've
go?
almost reached the halfway point of the evening's festivities.
So I've got mine. Shap's got his. I know, Greg, do you want to start or do you want me to go ahead and get going first?
I say you go.
Okay. Here's
That
some
way, if
trivia.
you look bad, it'll make us look better.
So feel free to answer.
And I also want to take this opportunity to say that one time when it was really, really cold outside, JC needed a jump start for his car, and the tow truck driver went to shake his hand, and JC snubbed him. All right, go on.
It's kind of like how that went. He actually shoveled out my driveway for me. All right, so since we talked earlier, I'm a big Queen fan. I'm going to do the first question is going to be a Queen trivia. While Queen was recording their first album, the studio wanted to test and play around with their ability to create the wall of sound technique and recruited Freddie to sing vocals on 2 cover songs. It was just an experiment for the studio that they were at. This was while they were recording their first album. And, of course, Queen was strapped for cash, and they would just said, fine, we'll just go ahead and we'll go along with it. So Freddie went ahead and recruited Brian and Roger as well, and the 3 of them went on to put out 2 songs. One of them was the song Going Back, which is actually a Carole King cover. But they actually released this, Going Back, as a single, and they recorded it under a different name. What was the name that they recorded it as? Radio stations were actually refusing to play the single because they felt like the name was a slam on one of the biggest British performers of the day.
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm going to sit completely and totally still so people will think that my computer just froze up because I don't know the answer.
All right.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I have no clue.
You don't know.
I was going to say Smile, but that's not it. That was what they were called before Queen, right?
Yes.
Biggest pop act in London?
It was one of the biggest. It was in the 70s, so about 72.
Burt Bacharach? No, he's American.
Well, it was a play on the name Gary Glitter, if that helps. Here, I'll play the song. so you guys can hear it.
Gary Glitter. Is this something to do with being gay? Is it gay? Gay glitter? You got me.
No? Larry Lyrics was the name of the band. Yeah, you guys would have got that. Larry Lyrics was the name of the band.
Yeah,
All right.
All
This is how we learn new things.
So,
Only
Larry
giant Queen
Lyrics.
nerds would know that.
I know, I'm
So-
sorry. I
That's
thought
a
that-
really good one. That's a really good one.
All right. So the next one I have is because I do a little paranormal stuff on the side. I have a paranormal trivia question. I don't know if either one of you guys are going to get this, but we'll see. We'll throw it out to Facebook too and see if anybody on Facebook might know. All right. So the question is, there is an Illinois town, which is the home to the first documented possession in the United States. And here's your hint. It took place in 1877 and is said to be an inspiration to the hit movie The Exorcism. First documented possession in the United States, 1877, took place in Illinois.
Is it Effingham?
It's not Effingham.
Damn it, I took a shot. That was the first time that I thought of. I thought if I got it, I would look really smart.
I have no idea.
None? Try to see if anybody on Facebook knows.
I don't even know if we're still on Facebook, to be honest. It says we are on my one thing, but...
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
All right. Is it local?
No, it's actually in Iroquois County.
Shit, I don't even know where the fuck that is. Morton, Illinois. I don't know.
All right, it's Watseka.
Okay.
And the name of the book that was the first documented possession is called The Watseka Wonder. And what happened is this family, they had a daughter who had like schizophrenia, and she went nuts, and they didn't know what was wrong with her, so they sent her down to Champaign to get treatment and everything, did like shock therapy. She ended up passing away at like 16. So she dies, the family goes on, but at this time, spiritualism was huge in the United States. So they actually had a spiritualist doctor end up moving in with them, and he's documenting everything that's happening in this family's house. Well, across town, about 10 years later, this little girl who's probably about 12 or 13 starts having the same symptoms as the girl, this family's daughter who passed away. And so the family goes over there with the spiritualist doctor, and this little girl comes downstairs and looks at this couple that had lost their daughter and says, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. It's your daughter." And then somehow the family convinces this other family from across town with their 13-year-old daughter to take her and let her live with them as their dead daughter in their house for the next few months.
Are you sure this just isn't an episode of The Golden Girl?
So anyway, they wrote a book. They wrote a book about it. It's called The Watseka Wonder. There's a house called the Roth House. You can actually visit it and do tours and stuff. It's
Have you
pretty
been
cool.
there?
I have, and I actually did an investigation there.
Nice.
All right, here's last question for me. Who gets stuck in a closet with Weird Al? Hint:
Vanna White.
It's not R. Kelly. Oh, you
Vanna
got that
White.
one. Vanna White is right.
What song is that from? Oh, that's just Stuck in a Closet with Vanna White. Great.
There you go.
Is that for even worse? or
Yes,
that
it is.
Nice.
All right, who's
remember that
next?
album.
Who's next? There's my three.
All right, do you want to go? Do you want me to go? Greg.
You go.
All right, I wrote,
JC, those were excellent questions.
Thanks, man. I got 2 out of 3 from you.
All right, here we go. Before Neil Young was in Buffalo Springfield, he was in a Canadian R&B band with this future funk superstar. Who? And if you can name the band, even better.
Bootsy Collins. No?
No.
I'm going to do that thing again where I just sit real still.
I have no idea.
He was in a band called the Mina Birds. The Mina Birds with Rick James, bitch.
Really?
Yes.
Is Rick
Yes.
James Canadian?
No, I believe he was from Buffalo, so hence he
But
wanted
you're
to
allowed
go.
into Canada, even if you're not from there.
Yes, exactly. So there you go.
All right.
That's a good one. I may have read that and completely forgot about that.
Yeah, it's one of those that pops up like that sometimes.
Not that it counts now, because I didn't know when you asked it. But I think I'm gonna
I wrote a few more than 3. Do you want me to save some of these?
No,
or maybe
go ahead. I'm going to
All right.
bow out for 2 seconds.
All right. Which Red Hot Chili Pepper plays a surfer in the original Keanu Reeves Patrick Swayze film Point Break? This is our second Patrick Swayze reference of the night.
which is too many, yeah, me. I'm going to say Flea, just because I know he's been in a few movies.
He has been in a few movies, but this one actually was Anthony Kiedis.
That was my second guess.
He gets trapped behind a door and his foot gets blown up. It's pretty funny.
Interesting. Is he wearing a shirt?
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely not. He's a drug dealer in the movie. Surprise, surprise. Let's see.
Point Break, that movie is?
Point Break.
Heaven, we missed you.
Yeah, I just had to go get my assistant back here.
Oh, there you go.
But I gotta, yeah, I'll be right back, actually.
Okay. Have you seen the original Point Break?
Is there a second Point Break?
Is it
called Point Breaker?
No, they remade it like within the last few years. They remade Point Break, and then they changed it to being about surfers to about like people who like free fall from sky, and yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, sounds like
this.
Did that win an Academy Award or was it
No,
just nominated?
no,
Not nominated.
No,
not anything.
but-
Not screenplay or cinematography.
No. But the '90s one is actually really good, and it's actually directed by Academy Award winner, the woman who won the first woman to ever win a directing Oscar, Catherine Bigelow. So the 1992 one. It's actually a really good movie. So it's a good action.
Big thing to know.
Yes. Push the door open. So, you going to bed, buddy?
Everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night, Felix. Love you. Play tomorrow. You unlock Qui-Gon Jinn.
Queen Amidala,
Queen Amidala?
Yoda, and the Stormtrooper Classic.
Awesome. We'll play
Young
more
kids
tomorrow.
that like the
From the
prequels.
Carbonite.
Yes. You
Yes.
don't see that too often.
Night,
What
buddy.
a
Love you.
40-year-old talking about Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, he's playing a Lego Star Wars game, and he unlocked those characters tonight.
So
So,
that's cool.
he does like the prequels a little too much, I think. Let's see here. What do we got next? What 3 songs did Eddie Vedder write and sing lyrics to, and mail back on cassette to Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament that he titled the Mama San trilogy that kickstarted the band Pearl Jam?
I got it in my head. Hold on to the thrill. What is that song?
That
Sing
would
it
be
again.
Oceans.
Oceans. Yes.
No,
that's not one of them? Damn it. Is it Alive?
Alive is one.
Even Flow?
Nope.
Jeremy involved.
No. Any other guesses?
I'm cheating.
Damn too lazy to cheat.
Porch.
No.
Deep.
No.
Release.
Are you just gonna guess all the Pearl Jam songs?
He's gonna guess everything off of 10. No, it was
Once.
It was Alive, Once, and then Footsteps, which actually also recorded for Temple of the Dog. It's a song called Times of Trouble.
Yes.
But basically, it's a 3-part trilogy play. The first time they ever played it, Ed said it was a story of incest and murder, and the third song, Footsteps, takes place in a jail cell. So.
Yeah.
Much like the Golden Girls episode that I was talking about earlier.
Here's a couple bonus ones here. Which game show host had his own late-night talk show in 1989?
Pat Sajak.
Bonus, who was his first guest?
Chevy Chase.
Yes! Damn, that's good. Who, of
So
course,
this is how terrible JC and I are. Is we know stuff like this.
yeah. Which famous drummer filled in and played drums for Tom Petty during his 1994 Saturday Night Live
Dave
gig?
Grohl.
Very good. And finally, who is the youngest inductee?
Dave Grohl. Oh, sorry, I was just guessing again. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, getting excited.
Who is the youngest inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Stevie Wonder?
No, he was just replaced about 3-4 years ago by a man who's what?
No, never mind.
You want to take a guess, JC?
No.
The man is no longer even part of the band that he's inducted in. Josh Klinghoffer, the replacement guitarist in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who, when John Frusciante decided to leave, Josh Klinghoffer was a part of the band for one album when they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How old was he when he got inducted?
I think he was 33.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Actually,
impressive.
Dave Grohl wasn't too bad of a guess on that one. Actually.
No. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
Your turn, yep.
32. He was 32. Stevie Wonder was 38 when he got inducted.
Wow. Even that seems old. All right, we got 3 super, super difficult Beatle trivia questions. You all set?
Yes.
I'm ready.
There's only one George Harrison song to be performed live by the Beatles. What is it?
George Harrison song performed live by the Beatles.
Is it Old Brown Shoe?
It is not.
Is it from the rooftop concert?
No. I don't know why I got so aggressive. Just saying. Wrong.
I have no idea.
It's oh shit. It's from.
I'm not good at
So
these.
it would be from when they were still touring live then. Okay, so yeah, so it's an old. I'm not gonna know it.
66 or so.
66 is when they did it. It came out in 65.
So it wouldn't be Taxman then.
It would not be Taxman.
I don't know.
It's If I Needed Someone.
Okay.
All right. Is this it?
Okay.
The song is called If I Needed Someone. If I needed someone to love, the one that I've been thinking of. If I needed someone.
All right.
Now, that bit of audio there was from the Candlestick Park concert in August of 66, which was their last big concert in front of people. The rooftop doesn't totally count. But it's interesting to hear how good the Beatles' harmonies were, even though they couldn't hardly hear one another and the girls were screaming like crazy.
Speaking of that rooftop concert, how much do you know about the documentary that Peter Jackson's doing?
I don't know too much about it, but I'm not really, I'm not especially excited about it because the Let It Be era is just really sad and drab,
Sure.
and they're not getting along. And as much footage as they have, there's not that much really good footage. I can't see how he could do anything other than make it a sad documentary about the Beatles breaking up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That being said, they'll still get my money.
I understand that.
Yes. Next question.
Yep.
In 1968, George Harrison wrote a song for an Apple Records artist named Jackie Lomax. On the track, George plays guitar as well as Eric Clapton. Ringo plays the drums, session pianist Nicky Hopkins plays the piano, and Paul McCartney plays the bass. What is the name of this song?
These are way too hard for me.
What's the name of the artist again?
Jackie Lomax. He was on Apple Records. He was also one of the first 10 or so.
I need to go to I'm gonna see if anybody is on your page answering these. 'Cause
I couldn't find the stream on my phone, by the way, on my Facebook feed. I know I'm not answering. I'm evading the question here.
Oh, it looks like it. We still got people on the.
What's the name of the artist again?
Oops, sorry.
Jackie Lomax.
Gosh, that name sounds so familiar.
Yeah,
and I've heard this story before, but I cannot think of the song though.
I'll
Was it a
I want to
hit?
hear it a bit.
It was not a hit. JC, will you play the audio?
I will play the audio.
If your life's not right, doesn't satisfy you,
God, it sounds like the Beatles though.
you don't get
Most of them.
breaks like some of us do. Better work it out, find where you gone wrong. Better do it soon, as you don't have long. Get out of South Milk Sea, you don't belong there. Get back to where you should be. What's going on there?
Apparently, Jackie Lomax does not have the software that matches on Facebook. I'm not getting in trouble for that one.
You get like copyright warnings or something?
Yeah, I have all night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would say that you could definitely hear that total Beatles sound though. I mean,
Absolutely.
Gosh,
Yeah, I think that would have
Ringo's
been quite a
drums.
song. The name of that one is Sour Milk Sea. George wrote it in India. He demoed it with the possibility of them possibly doing it on the White Album, but they passed on it, so they gave it to Jackie Lomax.
Mm.
All right. Final question, also George related. In 1987, George had a #1 hit with I Got My Mind Set on You. Who did the original version of the song in 1962?
Oh shit!
I know the
I
answer
realize-
because I could see it on the video.
I didn't realize that was a cover.
I didn't either until he sent it
Yeah,
over
it's like
today.
All right.
50s.
It's always nice to teach things to people that know their shit.
Yeah.
It's easy to teach stuff to dummies, but you know.
Any guesses? I'm on Moptop's page. I'm seeing if any of your people come
It's
through.
nobody with
They
like
knew
a
the
big,
Sour Milk Sea.
it wasn't like Sam Cooke or anything
No,
like that.
no, it's a much more obscure
Yeah.
artist.
Was that their only hit too?
I believe so. I think
Yeah.
they had a couple of other singles, but that would be the hit, and even that wasn't a big hit. Apparently, George was trying to get the Beatles to cover it.
The Boxcars. I don't know. I'm just gonna come up with some weird name because I know.
That's an awful guess, but a guess nonetheless. The guy's name is James Ray. JC for the audio.
I've got my mind set on you. I've got my mind set on you. I've got my mind set on you. I know what I've got to do. It's gonna take money. We're all gonna spending money. It's gonna take hard money to do it up right side.
Hey, massive kudos to Kevin on the Sam Cooke guess. That's a damn good guess.
It sounds a lot
could be
like-
Sam Cooke song.
Yeah.
Talk about a singer, man. Sam Cooke, that dude had a wow.
Yeah.
Another one of those guys who I know it sounds cliche as well, but they died too young. It's
Yes.
remarkable to think
Oh,
about
man.
what they could have done with the rest of their career. But he was really on a path.
His death just seems so random too. It was like somebody shot him at a hotel or something.
Very weird.
It's like, yeah.
He wound up in a situation that he shouldn't have been in the first place, and it escalated horribly and tragically.
Yeah. But he left behind some really amazing recordings. So.
Cool.
Well, that was fun,
All right,
guys.
good night.
That's it. We should do it
We're just-
again.
We're just over here working on our Super Mario. So I'm introducing my 7-year-old to Super Mario during the quarantine here.
The original
That's
one?
good parenting.
We were on number 3, but now we're back to the OG at the moment. So.
Oh, so you're at the NES setup.
Yeah, it's like the little mini NES thing.
Oh.
It's not a Nintendo Switch,
Yeah.
but just a little mini NES.
Sweet.
So.
Well, guys, thank you for letting me be a part of this as always. So
Yeah, and Greg, we got to do this again. How about October? We do something at West Clocks.
If
in,
it were
Peru.
still a thing, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we're working on something, and hopefully we'll have some more details soon because we want to get Greg out to Starved Rock country, or the Illinois Valley, as some people still call it.
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, we got a really cool. If you're not from Shap, Kevin, and I are all from the LaSalle, Peru, Starved Rock area of Illinois, and we've got this really cool place called the West Clocks. It's like become like a fine arts center, really.
Yeah.
Which is where a lot of the watches and clocks were made back in the 40s and 50s and so forth, and now they've turned it into a whole like really cool performing arts center. Kevin's got a studio there where he actually teaches my son Jake, who was hanging out in the White Sox hat earlier, guitar.
And me.
And are you taking lessons now?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And Kevin is you're doing like FaceTime lessons right now. So if anybody, even if you're not from the Illinois Valley and Starved Rock area, you want to take some guitar lessons or music lessons, Kevin's your guy. Then we're looking at, because we got this thing called the NCI Artworks, which is a bunch of artists in the community have a really cool space at West Clocks. We're working with them, hopefully to bring Professor Moptop out to the area to do some like a Beatlemania weekend with Star Union Spirits and stuff, hopefully in October. So we'll keep you posted on that, and appreciate you tuning in tonight, and we'll do it again sometime, right? I mean, we got a couple weeks. Maybe we could do it again. You want to try it again next Saturday?
We'll have to see on that. We'll see how that goes. See what the reception...
We haven't done one of these in 2 years, dude.
Has it been 2 years?
It's been 2 years since
2 years and 8 days.
Yeah.
So again, if you just say something, even if it's bullshit, if you say it smart enough, people believe it.
So
I gotta run, guys. I gotta see a man about a wallaby. But
right.
Hey, thanks for letting me. Thanks for doing this, JC. Getting all set up.
All right, no worries, man. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic night. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone be safe. Everyone be good.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.